Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Chase on Two Wheels here. And guys, there are a lot of motorcycles on the market today. You've got the super sports, the nakeds, you got the adventure bikes, the dual sports. But if you're going to ask me, I think the one best motorcycle for the road right now available is what you're looking at in front of us, the 2021 Yamaha MT07. I've put a couple hundred miles on this thing, and I honestly think that for your money right now, this is the best motorcycle you can buy for road use. Don't worry, I'm not just here going to make some random exclamation of this information and not tell you why. We're going to get into this video of why I think this is the best bike you can get for the road. You guys buckle up. Let's do a motovlog. Alright guys, so I have made a very tall claim. This is the best motorcycle for the road. Why? Well, let's start out with the power plant. The engine inside of this little MT07 is a parallel twin crossplane, and the power delivery I just think is absolutely stunning, and that is coming from someone who has a lot of experience riding. So guys, just because an engine would be good for an experienced rider doesn't make it the best overall motorcycle. It's got to be good at everything. Now, the reason I said the thing about the experienced rider part is because that's what I am. I'm an experienced rider. I can ride this thing around and have a hell of a good time. But if you're not an experienced rider, you're not gonna, that's not gonna translate to you like it does for me. So the reason I say this is the best bike is because this engine is powerful enough for an experienced rider to have fun. I have not felt any lack of power. By the way, where am I? Did I get to an office park? Unintentional. But guys, the other thing that makes this such a phenomenal bike and the best road bike is because it's also got a engine that is forgivable enough for a new rider. Yamaha let us loan this thing out, and we've been making a lot of content on it, and I've seen a lot of comments of guys, like they'll see me wheelie it or something like that, and they're like, I have no idea how to wheelie it. And is the engine punchy? Yes, absolutely. It's definitely a punchy engine, but it's only punchy if you really, give it some throttle. If you treat it with respect and you're calm with the throttle, then you can ride this as a beginner bike. Now, I will say on the beginner bike side, this engine's a little strong for beginner bikes, but I think it's in a good spot. It's at the higher range of that beginner bike segment. I'm not going to get into the term beginner bike and all that kind of stuff, but I think it's an engine that is fast enough and peppy enough for an experienced rider, and it's forgiving enough for somebody learning. So it covers the whole gamut. I could totally see someone getting this motorcycle as their first bike and just really learning this engine a ton, and you wouldn't have to upgrade. I have an MT10, or I'm in the midst of purchasing an MT10, and I love this thing. I don't feel it lacks anything at all. I've had such a good time on this. Now, I will say, you're probably wondering, Chase, is the engine powerful enough for the highway? I'll show you. I think it is. Asterisk, because I always get called out for this. When I say the highway, I mean highway speeds in America. That's all I'm speaking about. All right, so we're going about 65, 67. We're still in fourth gear. Let's say we were commuting, we're in sixth gear. This engine is chilling at 70. Granted, the wind's a little bad for your commuting wise, but engine wise, this thing has plenty of power to get you through a commute. So, I imagine if you're commuting, you're not going to be hauling too many balls. But yeah, I love this engine, man. Even coming from an MT10 owner, I absolutely love this little crossplane. I think it has such a good amount of power that doesn't compromise the weight that much. So Engine wise, I feel like it's in a real beautiful spot. I love the 700 class right now, engine size wise. So I think the engine really hits all the boxes that it needs to hit to be a perfect motorcycle for street use. Alright guys, so as we're sitting here on the side of the highway, I want to show you guys one of the other things that I think is so cool about this motorcycle, and that's how raw the bike is. Here's an example. Throttle, right? I was talking about how much I like the throttle input. Check it out. Cable actuated throttle. You actually are physically throttling this motorcycle. None of that ride-by-wire crap. But that's one of the points about the MT07 is it's such a raw bike. And that makes you feel, I don't know, the best way I have to describe it is feeling more connected with it. The bike has no modes. It's cable actuated throttle. There's minimal switches up here. I'm surprised we even get the little hazard lights on here. But this is definitely one of those motorcycles that's going to be the no frills, no crazy modes to look through, no crazy settings to look up. Like, you literally have this thing. That's the only thing that changes here. And for a lot of people, I think that's a good thing. It kind of doesn't muddy the water of you just enjoying the motorcycle. A lot of people don't want all the extra crap to deal with, and modes, and all types of traction control settings and whatnot. It kind of just doesn't make you have to deal with anything else going on with the bike unless you just focus on the riding experience, which, if I'm going to be honest, has been phenomenal. I have loved every second on this motorcycle, and it is kind of nice because on my MT10 I do have traction control, I do have rider modes, and I will say, like, sometimes that kind of puts a barrier between you and enjoying the ride. And the rawness of the MT07 is kind of nice. It's like we just get to boil it all down with the MT07 to be like, look dude, get on it, turn it on, and go. That's all you have to do. That's all you got to worry about. And I think that's kind of a refreshing feeling for a lot of us. So I think that's one of the reasons that pushes me towards this motorcycle as like the best road bike, because you don't have to deal with anything. It lets you enjoy riding, just riding. You don't got to do anything else, just get on and go. And that's a big deal in today's motorcycle environment, man. Next up on my list, guys, is something that I find super important for motorcycles that I plan on purchasing, and I imagine you would too, and that's the aftermarket space for this motorcycle. This 2021 MT07 was recently modified, but the MT07 started in 2014, and Yamaha has sold a buttload of them. And now you might be thinking, how does that make sense for it to be a good thing for me, an owner? It just tells me a lot of people got the bike. The more people that have a specific motorcycle are more potential customers for aftermarket companies. Companies that make windscreens and levers, fender eliminator kits. The list is literally endless for aftermarket for the MT07, and that's because so many people have them. Because imagine if you're a company that wants to make an aftermarket modification for a motorcycle, it doesn't really make as much sense to make an aftermarket piece for a motorcycle on a bike that didn't really sell well. You guys know just as well as I do, the first thing you think about after you buy a motorcycle is what you can do to it. Trust me, I am deep in that stage with my MT10 right now. I'm like, what can I put on this thing? I want to make it mine. How do I do that? With a motorcycle that sells really well, there is so many options. And bro, the MT07 aftermarket, just do me a favor. If you're interested, I imagine if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in the MT07. Go to Revzilla and look up the MT07 aftermarket and just scroll. There is such a massive market for aftermarket stuff for this bike. You can customize the motorcycle to do and be better at doing whatever you like to do and whatever kind of riding you end up finding that you do more. But yeah guys, having an extensive aftermarket established for the motorcycle that you buy, it's gonna be so nice to not have to search the entire internet for one thing you want. It's gonna be very easy to find parts, and that's going to help you customize the bike, make it better for you, and long term just make you enjoy the motorcycle more. final thing I want to touch on with the MT07, I guess my best word for this would be its playfulness. One of the factors in playfulness is how lightweight it is. This bike is incredibly lightweight. I can throw it all around at low speeds, and that's going to help in a couple ways. If you're a new rider, you don't got a lot of weight to deal with. If you're an experienced rider, this bike is the closest like streetish motorcycle that gives me vibes of my WR. It's very light, it's playful, but this has got the power where I can really do some stuff. Whereas my WR, it's a 250, man. You know, you're only gonna be able to string so much out of that engine before it's dead. We have a 689cc, if I remember correctly, here in the MT07, and it basically unlimits everything engine-wise that I want out of my WR250, but still gives me that lightweight playfulness that allows me to get into more trouble than I probably deserve to be in. And honestly, if we're talking power to weight to fun, I think the MT07 might have the best ratio of all the bikes on the market, and I'm including my own MT10. I feel like I can have more unadulterated fun on this motorcycle compared to my MT10 because it's big, it's heavy, it's powerful, but I just feel like I can't throw it around and have as much fun because you get worried that, oh man, if I go down, it's going to be a serious wreck. And not to say you can't have a serious wreck on an MT07, but I don't know, you just don't feel like it's going to be that big of a deal because it's so light and you can flick it around all over the place. I don't know, man. I love this thing, but I do realize that I'm talking a lot of good about a motorcycle. And just so this is a well-rounded video, I don't want you guys to think that I think this bike is perfect and it has no negatives. Let's get into some of the drawbacks of the MT07. Guys, little asterisk on the drawbacks of the MT07 here. I want you guys to keep in mind, as of recording this, brand spanking new, this MT07, this 2021 model, I think is $7,600 brand new as of Yamaha's website. I say that before I get into my negatives of the motorcycle. One of the drawbacks is obviously the brakes. We do not have the most highest quality set of stopping power on this motorcycle. Now, can it get you stopped? Sure. It takes a significant amount of brakes, and they're not bitey at all. I feel like this bike could be benefited by a beefier set of brakes. Next up is the suspension. Granted, like we said earlier, the aftermarket segment for the MT07 is massive. So I would imagine there's a suspension upgrade kit, whether that's the internals only or maybe a whole new suspension kit. I would imagine that is probably something that's available in the market. Something else I will say, having spent a decent amount of time on the bike here, this bike, with that playfulness that we were talking about, it ends up making me ride this thing like my WR. I smash the rear brake and I do wheelies all the time. The ABS on this bike for the rear, I have not tested the front and I do not plan on it, but the ABS is a little abrupt. The way the ABS kicks on is a little dramatic, it's a little scary, and I mean, it's not scary for me, but I can imagine the way it feels. It's a little jarring, and I think a new rider might find that a little worrisome. Ideally, you're not going to be in a situation where you need the ABS, but when it kicks on, I mean, it'll probably save your butt. It's just going to make your butthole tighten a little more than, I think it could have a little smoother ABS. Finally, the end of the video up, guys. The only thing I really feel like the MT07 could really benefit from is a little more fit and finish. I don't think it's necessarily bad per se, but I do feel like there's a little bit much of this kind of plastic. In the same regard, I do have to keep in mind, sub $8,000. They've got to cut costs somewhere. I'm not going to fault Yamaha for it. I'm happy. I would rather them use this and have a cheaper price motorcycle than the opposite, than it being more expensive and having more high-end stuff down there. That's honestly it. Those are my main gripes, and that's what's led me to feel like the 2021 MT07 might be the best bike you can get for your dollar right now. It has been ear-to-ear smiles since I put the key in it. And I think you guys will get that same feeling if you give it an opportunity. So, if If you got a chance, go check out the MT07, guys. And what you really should do is make sure to hit that like button on this video. The more likes we get on videos, the more we know that you guys enjoy them, and we will keep doing them. Guys, I appreciate you riding around with me here. I'm Chaseontwowheels. You guys go out there and ride safe. Subscribe if you like motorcycle content, and we'll see you on the next one. Later, guys. Outro crew, where do you think I was? Am I right? Am I wrong? Best road motorcycle or not? Let us know what you think in the comments, man, because I think if this is not the best road bike, it's hard as hell to beat. Let me know what you think the best road bike is in the comments down below. I think I can get back to the shop this way. I honestly don't know.